Thank you for being a part of the journey, and don't forget to share the journey. Now, today was a bad day here in Arkansas. It is actually a beautiful, beautiful day. Sunshine on my face, no more rain. Rain for like 6 days straight. And we had our first major loss here in Arkansas. So I did not listen to my neighbor or did not think about anything. But apparently, like he told me, we had these rainstorms that clean things out. So my water pump, my hoses, all the stuff I had down there on the creek, it's all gone. Total lost. Part of Arkansas's unknown losses. Because who knows what's down in those creeks. So I was down in the creek, went a little bit down with the quad and didn't see anything. He said the last time he lost one, it was like 2.5 miles down the creek. And we had a lot of water. So for those of you that want to see the ride along, it's going to get paired in with this video. I've got to drive down. I'll show you guys once I get down there, the creek where I was pumping water from for those of you that saw where I was hauling my water from, pumping, where I had my pumping stuff, show you how it's totally changed. And then I've got some good news towards the very end of this video, what this storm has cost me. It may have cost me that $1,000, but it may have just saved me a lot of money. So let's go ahead. I'll flip the camera around. We're going to go for a ride down. You can see the leaves change everything for those of you that want to see a ride along. If not, if you just want to mute the screen and come back in a few, then I'll be down and go over everything. So enjoy. And there's Mr. Stubbs right there. Right, Mr. Stubbs? And the donks. We're gonna back right down the hill right there. There we go. I'll actually go ahead and show you guys the good news right now and what I had to redo or rebuy. So I had to run to town. I had to buy a new water pump generator and all the new hose kits and everything like that, since all that washed down the river. And this is the good news. So I was going to be putting in a well, but look at this. You see all this water flowing? Do you hear all that water flowing? I mean, look at that. So my neighbor was partially right. I mean, you can see it's just tearing right through. This is my road that I always drive down that you guys see. And there's always a small little puddle here. And my neighbor had said back there he thought there was a spring. And everybody saw I came down here with the backhoe on the little tractor I have and dug out all that crushed rock. And all it was this loose river rock. And there was no water. It was a dry hole. Well, check that out. He wasn't wrong. So apparently this is a spring somewhere deep down below. So when I rent the excavator to do some ponds, I'm going to go ahead, and this hole's only a few feet deep. I'm going to actually dig this hole down probably 10, 15 feet. Get a big steel culvert or plastic culvert and drill holes in the side. Shove that down in there, encase it, so that way the water comes up nice and clean. But look at that. I mean, all that water just pumping out of the ground on my land. Excuse me. But you can see this is all hillside, going up, going up, going up. There's no water. I walked all the way around because that's why I was thinking the water was coming from somewhere else. But everything's dry all the way around this hole. So it's got to be coming from down in this hole. Because see, I mean, it's just all dry leaves, you know, nothing. And it's just hillside that goes up until it goes up there on the bluff where everything is at and where I'm going to build a house. But this is the good news. So I lost $1,000 in water pump and equipment and found out now that I do have a natural spring. And now with all that moisture, it activated this because the hole filled with water. And then just like a cup of water, you put a towel in it and you put the towel over the side of the cup and that water will all come out that cup. So now that this is activated, it's just sucking and sucking water out of the ground. And then the dry creek bed that I have, that I showed on one of the videos, I haven't shown a lot of it, so a lot of you might not have seen that. But I have, my property goes over on the other side of the creek bed for half of it, and then half of it is right on my line. But what I want to do is, since this is so deep, it's like a 6-foot drop off or so. I mean, look at that water running now. Now, this has not ran since I looked at this property, nor since I bought this property. So what I'm thinking about doing is when I do all my excavation, I'll have a lot of dirt that I need to get rid of. So at the end of my property, since there's multiple springs right past my property line on my neighbor's property where I haul water, then I'm going to do like a 20 or 40 foot span here of dirt and do a dam, make it lower than the sides so water can still go over. But then in the dry season, I'll have a nice chunk of water in this area that goes up and down my property. So like I said, this is all of my property. My property goes up over there to the top. I have not been over there. There should be the old railroad track platform, and I own to the center of the railroad tracks where that flat part is up there. So all this is mine, and look at all this water I have now. So what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to set up the new water pump generator and everything down here at my spring. And I've got to haul like 5 or 6 loads of water today for the animals to top everybody off. And I'm going to see if this spring is going to keep up with me hauling out 6 of these 125-gallon tanks. If not, then I know it definitely has to go deeper, and we'll have to see. But like I said, I mean, look at all that water. That is some of the best news I've seen. So I'll go down here. I'll show you my neighbor's place where I was hauling water from. And I'll show you roughly the property line, because I'm not going to look for the flags right now, to give you an idea on how far in my property this spring is. And actually, while we're right here, I can go ahead and show, since the leaves are down, the difference. So hopefully my phone is showing that big slant right there on camera. It doesn't look flat. So my house that I'm gonna build, my property line is past that tree right there with a big fork coming over top the road. It's down that way a bit. But up here on the bluffs, if you go all the way up to the top and go that way, is where I'm going to build the house. And that's going to be, like I said, on a big bluff. And it was hard to see with the leaves and everything, and I'm hoping that now that the leaves are down, you can see a tad bit more. Let me go back down here to the rock face that I showed before, and that will give a better idea of where I'm at. I'm more on the bluffs. My property, most of my property is up on the bluffs. It's not down here in the valley. And that's a good thing, because then only this lower part of the property floods and everything, and I don't have to worry about the flooding issues. So as we get in here, this is like a sheer cliff side, and that's why people say I live by the bluffs. I mean, look at this. So I'm walking flat, and we're gonna zoom or go up and just look at that. I mean, just sheer rock face. It goes all the way up to where that sun is. And so I mean, it's just sheer drop off there. And that's where I'm gonna build, is up top where that sun is, up over that edge, and then have a deck that hangs out this way, a suspension, a deck, and I'm able to look down on all this land that I have. But you can see just the light difference. You know, this is all just a giant bluff all the way through. So now with the leaves dropping, it's easier to see part of this property than it was earlier this summer. I mean, you can see that sheer drop. It's awesome. Got good character, got plenty of flattish spots, not perfectly flat, which is fine, because I like sloped land. For those of you that don't understand why I like sloped land, when it rains, everything goes downhill, including animal droppings. So it cleans out your pens. It's less work to do, just like in Colorado. It rains, everything gets washed away, you get a clean slate and start fresh again. But let's get down here to the creek. I'll show you where I was pumping water and the difference of what all this water means here in Arkansas. So that little bit of water that was barely flowing through the center here is now all the way across the road. Over here you can see it's probably 2.5 feet deep. If I go in that area, the water actually comes through the door into the quad. I mean, just a lot of water. All right, so this is where I was hauling water from before. And my neighbor had those huge logs that went across here and came up about 4.5 foot tall. And this was that big pond area, swimming pool that they were swimming in, and had all the fish that I showed swimming. And I mean, this has gone from bank all the way over here to bank. I mean, it's all gone. The pool's gone. All this rock is here that wasn't there. It was a big, deep pool. And I tried to drive down the creek a little bit in the quad, but it just gets super deep. The water came in, and who knows how far the stuff went. So crappy part, like I said, that's $1,000 down the drink, down the Arkansas River Unknowns. But now I have a spring, or what I think will be a spring. So we will find out. When I have other time, I might try to hike down this, but I really don't even want to go hiking because it's going to be ruined from the water and sediment getting into the engine. The only thing be good would be the hoses. But you know, if it's miles and miles down the creek, then it's pointless because I don't want to go through all these people's property and get shot or something like that. So, but I mean, this is one thing you don't see in Colorado. This beautiful, beautiful water. May have done a little bit of damage, but I am super, super happy. So hope everybody has a great day. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and I'll talk to you guys on the next video.